Hello students, welcome back to this discussion on the UPSC question paper of 2022. In the previous videos we have done the discussion of environment and disaster management, and in today's session we are going to look at the internal security questions. And you know that every year the weightage of internal security is 50 marks, that is 2 10 markers and 2 15 markers. That is question number 9 and question number 10 are generally of internal security of 10 markers, and question number 19 and question number 20 are 15 markers, that is which is part of your internal security. Now let's look at the brief analysis of these questions. Now when you look at the question number 9, the question number 9 is part of the internal security again. Now when you look at this, discuss the types of organized crime. Discuss the types of organized crime, and it is talking about that they describe the linkages between terrorists and organized crime that exists at national and transnational levels. That exists at national and transnational level. So it is asking about that types of organized crime. This is a repeated question. Similar question was asked in the last year also. Last year also it talked about this kind of organized crime and the terrorism as a relation, right? Again, 2018 also we had a similar kind of question present. So this is one question. The second question is that what are the maritime security challenges in India? Discuss the organizational, technical and procedural initiatives taken to improve the maritime security. Now, as usual, when I am discussing this aspect of internal security and the border management, I have been emphasizing that there is this questioning, there is large scope for them to ask upon coastal security, and I would have dictated the notes upon coastal security. My students would know that. Because such a question has been pending from past 3 years. From past 3 years, for past 3 mains, such a question has been important. And what happens finally, they have asked it this year in 2022 means they asked about that what are the security challenges that are existing, and also the what are the initiatives that have been taken. We'll see in a while about this question. And moving on to the next aspect, the 15 markers. They're asking about the 19th question is a security question. The different elements of cyber security is one, and keeping in view the challenges in the cyber security, it is asking about the challenges in the cyber security, right? Then apart from that, not only the challenges in the cyber security, that it is also asking about examine the extent to which the India has developed the comprehensive national cyber security. So it is asking about what is the status of cyber security in the context of India. That is what is the questioning about. Then the last question, again very important topic where the UPSC keeps questioning. Again in 2020 also we had a question on the Nuxilism. The Nuxilism, the Samadhan strategy that is generally discussed upon, right? It is asking about it is a social, economic and developmental issue manifesting as a violent internal security threat. In this context, discuss the emerging issues and suggest a multi-layered strategy to tackle the menace of Nuxilism. The Samadhan strategy that is given by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and as we discussed in the class also, it is nothing but a multi-layered strategy, right? That is what we are going to see, right? We'll discuss, we'll look at this, what should be the structures for such a questions, right? Now when you look at the first question, it is asking about that discuss the different types of organized crime. First part of the question. Then apart from that, the second thing is the linkages that is existing between the terrorism as well as the organized crime at national and international, transnational level. So for anything, the introduction could have been, what do you understand by an organized crime? The simplest understanding for an organized crime is what, my dear, we know that it has to have a structure. It has to have a structure. It has to have definite membership. Not only the definite membership, but it also has certain element with respect to the hierarchy. Hierarchy has to be present. And apart from this hierarchy, we also know that this organized crime is going to have an institutional operation. Institutional operation that creates a kind of network. So all this happens to be one of the characteristic features with respect to the organized crime. Once we talk about this organized crime, then we have to talk about what are the different types of organized crimes. And when you look at the different types of organized crime, fundamental understanding with respect to different types of organized crime can be the traditional form, can be the traditional forms or the non-traditional forms. Traditional or non-traditional. These can be the different types of organized crimes that are present. And once you talk about this traditional, what happens? It is with respect to the gambling. It is with respect to the extortion, right? That is, it fundamentally talks about the before the technology has erupted or the before the technology has been imbibed into this organized crime, what are the different types of such organized crime is what nothing but the traditional kind. And here, apart from this, when you talk about this non-traditional, these are more technology driven. These are more technology driven, these are more organized. For example, money laundering, FIC and all these are different kinds of non-traditional crimes, non-traditional organized crimes that are existing. And the simple thing that we see with respect to what is the linkage that is happening between the organized crime, the terrorists and the organized crime. Now here, the simplest relation that you would see with respect to the terrorists and the organized crime is there is a reciprocal relation. There is a reciprocal relation that is existing between this terrorism and organized crime. Because when you look at the nature of the relation that is existing, it is all symbiotic. It is all symbiotic for the reason when you look at the organized crime and the corresponding relation with the terrorism, you would get to see the organized crime is going to finance the terrorist organizations or the terrorist activities. Right? And when you look at the relation that is existing with respect to the terrorism vis-a-vis the organized crime, you would see the terrorists are going to provide a protecting shield, they are going to protect, they are going to provide a networking phenomena to the organized crime. This is what is going to be a symbiotic relation that is going to exist, right? And it is to be realized that both go hand in hand. Both go hand in hand, that is what is the general observation. So in order to tackle terrorism as a phenomena, the first thing is we have to tackle organized crime as a phenomena for the reason that it becomes a financing channel, and the finance is the bloodline for the terrorist activities to flourish, right? That has to be tackled. Now here we can talk about the various aspects to manage the organized crime. That can be one particular simple conclusion that we can talk, or we can talk about the role of technology, not only the role of technology in managing the organized crime. That can be a simple another kind of conclusion that can be given for this question. Right. Moving on to the next question, that is, what are the maritime security challenges that are present? What are the maritime security challenges in India? And discuss the organizational, A, technical, B, and procedural initiatives, C, taken to improve the maritime security. Now here we can simply say, with respect to India, we have around 7,500 kilometers of coastal boundaries. We have around the coastal borders, and because of the 7,500 kilometers, which demands the maritime security. This shows the significance of maritime security for the functioning and also to ensure the internal security aspects. Now when you look at the maritime security challenges that are present, when you look at the maritime security challenges, those challenges in the context of India is with respect to that we know that there are certain issues that are persisting with respect to the terror organizations or the terrorist activities, or it might be with respect to the piracy or the phenomena of piracy that is existing. Apart from that, we also have certain inter or transnational water boundary issues or water sharing issues, transnational water issues. All these are persisting. Then apart from that, we also see that there is a phenomena that is existing with respect to the maritime issues. Maritime issues involve maritime issues especially in the context of exclusive economic zones, because you know that this exclusive economic zones, it is not clearly demarcated, right? So terrorism activities, all these are persisting challenges with respect to the maritime security, right? Maritime security. Now once we discuss about these challenges that are persisting, then we can even discuss about the what are the measures that are taken, or what are the initiatives that are taken? Now when you look at these initiatives, this is organizational. Organizational. One is with respect to the Indian Navy measures that are taken. Organizational. Technical. Technical measures, that is with respect to the RFID tags, the fisherman issue, that is right. Then procedural. Procedural initiatives. Procedural initiatives like all this Sagar initiative, the IPOI, Indian Pacific Ocean initiative, all such initiatives are taken in this context. Right? Once we discuss about this, you can conclude it by saying that 5-layered approach is the way forward. 5-layered approach is the way forward as we suggest in the class with respect to tackling maritime security. When you talk about this tackling this maritime security and this 5-layered approach, it fundamentally means the first layer has to be the people. Then the maritime police or marine police, then we have Indian Coast Guard, then the Indian Navy, then all of this to be encompassed with technology. All of this to be encompassed with the technology. So this 5-layered approach, is the way forward as suggested by Sukhbinder Singh committee, right? The Sukhbinder Singh committee has suggested this, that 5-layered approach is the way forward for ensuring the maritime security, for the reason that when you look at your 2008 Mumbai attacks, it fundamentally was this, right? Okay, so this is with respect to this, okay, this particular question. Now when you look at the next question, it is asking about the what are the different elements of cyber security. What are the different elements of cyber security, keeping in view the challenges in cyber security, extent of India having a comprehensive cyber security strategy. Now this question is fundamentally having 3 parts. First part is this, the second part is this, and the third part is this. Now when you look at this, what happens is you can simply introduce by simply defining what do you fundamentally mean by cyber security. Right? Or we can state that the India as a nation is the third most vulnerable country with respect to cyber security attacks. This can be another form of expression, that this is the third most vulnerable country with respect to cyber security attacks. This can be one, right? So simple introductions with respect to the cyber security. Then from there we can talk about the aspects or various elements, which is the first part, the elements of the cyber security. When you talk about the elements of cyber security, that is with respect to the application security, then information security, right? The network security. Then not only the network security, but it also talks about the infrastructural security. Because you know that this digital infrastructure will have a status of the critical infrastructure that is present, right? So application, the network, the information and the infrastructural security, all these elements have to be ensured with respect to the cyber security. Then from there, we have to talk about the second aspect, is what are the challenges that are persisting. Now when you look at the what are the challenges that are persisting with respect to the cyber security as a phenomena. Now the cyber security, the challenges is that one major aspect is it's very abstract as a phenomena. And not only the abstract as a phenomena, it does not have any boundaries. And not only that, you would see that the technology has been very dynamic. Very dynamic, because when you look at the cyber security and when you look at the cyber technology, it changes in just fraction of seconds, and you would see the kind of revolution that is happening in such a kind of technology. You see it is very rapid. And for any kind of security measures to be upgraded up to such level, what happens is you need a constant dynamism that has to be ensured with respect to the policy making. So the technology is very dynamic. Then apart from that, you would also see the enlarged usage of cyber security, the cyber systems, right? The enlarged usage of cyber systems. Now because of all this, what happens is you would see that cyber security and management becomes a very difficult part. Now here, in this context of the challenges that are existing, we have to see that what are the measures that have been developed by India. Now when you talk about these measures, we can talk about both the defensive measures and the offensive strategy. Because we would see that when you look at the global cyber experts, they are talking about not only the defensive strategy which is going to work these days, because what happens is, you know, that the cyberspace is also evolving as one arena of warfare. And when you see that the cyberspace is also evolving as one arena of warfare, one very, very important thing that has to be realized, that in order to manage the cyber security, it is not only the defensive strategy which is sufficient, but we also have to go for the offensive strategy. For example, the cyber defense cell that is created by your DRDO, that's a kind of offensive kind of strategy that has to be ensured, right? So in this context, we can talk about and we can evaluate what are the measures that are taken by this context, in this context of defensive as well as offensive measures. And we can simply conclude that the cyber security as a phenomena demands policy dynamism. Policy dynamism, because it deals with technology, policy dynamism, the digital awareness, right? All these aspects are going to ensure the management of cyber security. For the reason in challenge, you know that there is also diverse problems that are existing, or there is also diversity that is existing with respect to cyber security as a phenomena, right? We have to break this question to answer it. We have to break it, right? And the last question, that is with respect to your internal security, it is a question on Nuxilism, because this topic is often repeated on Nuxilism. But when you look at the nature of the questioning, it is again the paraphrased nature of questioning. Because Nuxilism as a phenomena is very, very important. And when you look at this phenomena, the maximum thing that can be asked in this Nuxilism as a phenomena is what are their causative factors, their consequences, and what are the measures, be it the developmental measures or the security measures that have been undertaken by the government. Now in this question, let's see what they have asked. And when you look at this question, Nuxilism is a social, economic and developmental issue manifesting as a violent internal security threat. Now discuss the emerging issues and discuss the emerging issues with respect and suggest a multi-layered strategy to tackle the menace. Now when I talk about this multi-layered strategy, now what happens, you see, emerging issues, okay. Now here when you see this particular question, it is asking about that Nuxilism. Now Nuxilism as a phenomena, it says that it is social issue, it is economic issue, it is developmental issue. Yes. Now when you talk about this social issue or economic issue or developmental issue, what happens is it fundamentally deals with the developmental deficit that is present in certain regions, and certain sections of the community or certain sections of the society are being alienated, are being oppressed, are being deprived of certain basic needs. That is what is going to be this. Along with this developmental deficit, you would also see that there is also a concept of ideology of communism, which is supporting this phenomena and which is resulting in a violent, because when you look at Nuxilism as a phenomena, it is a derivative of Maoism, and when you look at this Maoism, it is based on the ideology of power flows through the barrel of the gun. And that is what is the ideology to promote the philosophy of communism, right? That is where this Nuxilism as a phenomenon emerged. And when you look at this Naxalbari village in 1960s, that is where you would see this, the onset of Nuxilism as a phenomenon in India. And there, what are they asking? They are asking that there are certain emerging issues. There are certain emerging issues with respect to this Nuxilism as a phenomena. And when you look at these emerging issues with Nuxilism as a phenomena, what you would see, one particular concept you would talk about is the dynamic nature, or the dynamism, or the trends in the Nuxilism itself is changing. And one particular thing that you can see is the tri-junction operation. For example, when you look at the states of Karnataka, the Kerala and the Tamil Nadu region, in these regions what happens is there is a tri-junction operation that is seen with respect to the Naxalites, right? This is one particular emerging issue. The second emerging issue itself is with respect to now the support that is derived from the locals. The support that is derived from the locals with respect to this. Apart from this, it has also become transnational. It has also become transnational. For example, countries like Nepal or countries like China are providing a necessary support system. Countries like China, countries like Nepal are providing a necessary support systems, are providing the scope for training in this context. They are also providing the weapon support, right? That is also seen. Then apart from that, when you look at this, we can also talk about the ideology itself is changing. Ideology, we talk about some concepts of the phenomena like urban Nuxilism. In the recent past, the reports and the newspaper reports have been talking about this phenomena of urban Nuxilism, right? This is one particular kind of phenomena that is emerging. Also, the rampant extortion activities, which is the financing channel of this Nuxilism as a phenomena. The rampant extortion activity, which is the financing channel for this Nuxilism as a phenomena. Now, in this context of emerging issues, now it is asking about the multi-layered strategy. It is asking about the multi-layered strategy, and when you talk about this multi-layered strategy, very simple understanding that we need to have with respect to this multi-layered. It is not something out of the box. Multi-layered fundamentally means that it is talking about a right balance. It is talking about a right balance of the developmental measures. Not only the developmental measures, it is also talking about the security measures. This is what it is talking about, right? And it is talking about that you cannot handle this kind of such a problem only with one of these. It is asking about the multi-layered aspect. The another kind of interpretation of this multi-layered can be with respect to what? The first layered would be people. The second layer would be the intelligence agencies. The third layer would be the security agencies. On all top of it, you would see the layer of administration, the layer of development. Because what happens is whenever there is security ensured, you would see there is a scope for development to happen. And whenever there is devoid of this development happening in a region, you would see there is no security. There is a interrelation that is existing between the development and security. This is one kind of the interpretation of the question, right? Multi-layered strategy, and you can safely conclude this answer by Samadhan strategy that is given by Ministry of Home Affairs in tackling the Nuxilism as a phenomena. Now, +1 strategy for this particular question can be you can draw the red corridor as a phenomena that has been persisting. The red corridor. Then apart from that, when you talk about the +1 strategy with respect to the maritime, again you can see what are the different challenges that are present across along the maritime boundaries of India. That is one particular +1 strategy you can even include, right? Now, in this, with respect to organized crime, we have already discussed. So, this is with respect to your internal security questions. And when you try to observe this internal security questions, what you would see is that this demands an analytical way of writing. This demands an analytical way of writing, and this also demands a pragmatic solutions. This is what is going to be the essence when you are writing your internal security questions. This is not going to demand a theoretical way of writing. This demands a practical and a pragmatic way along with the analysis, along with the necessary analysis that has to be done. Please remember, my dear, right? And you need to remember that this is one section where you can improve your scores in GS3. Internal security, because for the reason this has a very limited subject, very limited syllabus, because when you look at the syllabus there are only 4 lines, and when you are very well prepared with these 4 lines as we do in the classes and as we do in the sessions, you would see that this particular 50 marks can be maximized, because there is very less scope for the subjectivity when you are writing an answer in these questions. Right? Please understand and please be very prepared with those topics that are given in the syllabus, and it is always a high fetching area. Please remember this, right? With this we end this discussion. Thank you.